Welcome to Helen Bulkeley Talks With, and I am so thrilled to let you know that today I'm talking to Susie Chan. She is an endurance runner and has taken part in some of the toughest ultramarathons in the world, like running 156 miles across the Sahara Desert in 6 days in an event called the Marathon Des Sables, and she's done that 4 times. If you are new here, a very warm welcome, and please do hit that subscribe button and continue watching to find out how Susie came quite late to running, but she took the running world by storm. And now not only is she an ambassador for leading sports brands, she runs every day and is responsible for getting so many people into the sport.
I've been up for hours. I think I'm on dinner time now.
You certainly earned it. How was your run this morning?
It was fine. It was predominantly a photo shoot rather than a run, but we still ran 7.5 miles, and it was over 2,000 foot. So it was it was good. I didn't bring any water. I left the house so early. I left my water by the front door, and I was like, oh, it's only like 5 mile, 6 mile run, I'll be fine. But we stopped so much and we were out for about 2 hours. I was parched by the end.
So, I got in touch with you originally because, I obviously saw you, was it last year? I can't even remember the timing when I think my 3-year-old was probably throwing things at you in a cafe, and I thought, oh, goodness. I'll apologise and I'll come and say hello because I follow you on social media. But you inspire me every day, and, when you put up pictures of you running every day, and I just think it's fabulous, and you do so much for so many people and get so many people motivated. So I wonder whether for your story we could go back a little bit, because it wasn't like you were born with running shoes on.
No, not at all, no. I just was very ordinary at school at PE. I don't think my PE teachers would remember me at all. And then I think, like a lot of people, I just left school and that was it. That was sort of, keeping fit over and done with. And then I got to about 35, I think I was, and my younger brother wanted to run a marathon, just as a bucket list thing, sort of one-off thing to tick off the list. And he basically made me sign up to a half marathon with him. It was like a local half marathon. And I was a bit miserable at the time. I was a single mum, and I just, I was a bit rudderless. And so I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is what I need. Really unfit, drink a bottle of wine in front of the telly a night. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try. And I started running basically as training. I had no clue what I was doing. Didn't have a watch, didn't have proper trainers. And I can remember my first run, I tried to run around 2 football fields in Guildford. I couldn't do it without stopping. But I kept on it, and I think because I didn't have a watch, I don't really know what I got up to. I think I got up to about maybe 6 or 7 miles, something like that. Completely ignorant of running and how to run and what really I'd signed up for. And then it came to race day, and I didn't want to do it. My brother dragged me to the start line. And I was stood at the start line terrified because it is very intimidating. And people were like, oh, you're looking forward to the trails. And I didn't even know what they meant. I was like, what do you mean? And it was a trail half marathon. It was very hilly. It had some stiles and mud, and I had no clue. Running was running, and I'd just been running up and down the road, to Tesco's and back, and I had no clue. But I did it, finished, and I was so broken. But I just couldn't believe I'd run 13 miles, and it really was I thought it'd be something I'd just do once with my brother, but it really was the start. I can just remember the feeling I got, that evening and the next day, and for several days afterwards, of just being, quite surprised at what you can do. And that was the start of it, really, and it escalated quite rapidly after that.
It really did. That's the biggest thing, because when you were just saying there about it being a trail run, I wonder whether that's what sort of kick-started your love of trail running, because maybe it'd been different if it had been on the road, but maybe something in there triggered, I want to do this more, because then you went from that to ultra marathon runner.
Yeah, I don't know whether it was the trails. I think I'm really honest with you. I think it was just the feeling of having achieved something which I didn't think I could actually do. I just felt really good. And, you know, I was a very different person back then, and I didn't have much confidence and no self-belief. And it was just like a real sort of like, oh my God, you know, I can actually do something which is good for me and makes me feel good. And I don't really have a preference over road or trails. I run a lot on the trails just because of where I live. There's not many actually roads. But I then went into, I did quite a lot of road running after that, did a couple of, you know, marathons and things. So it wasn't really the trails as such. It was actually just running itself, which you know, I just really enjoyed. And then I went quite quickly from there I did a 10K because that was shorter. I could do that. And then I did another half marathon. And then I was like, well, I might as well do a marathon. And yeah, it just fell quite quickly into the world of ultras. And it was mainly born out of just ignorance, really, and desire to do it rather than ambition or any of those other sort of, you know, other sort of feelings. It was just because, well, let's give this a go. You know, what's the worst that could happen? And then I signed up to a race called the Marathon Des Sables in 2013 now. And I'd read about it in Runner's World. And it's a 6-day race across the Sahara Desert. And the really hard thing is you have to carry everything you need to survive on your back. So your sleeping gear, your survival kit, and then they supply water, but it's very restricted. And so you're running through 6 days in a row, 153 miles, something like that. And I signed up to it thinking I wouldn't get in because it had a very long wait list. And thinking I'll just get some emails, I'll be able to read about it. And it turns out that if you're on the wait list, you get in. And I was like 120th or something. And I just panicked. And that was when I thought, oh God, right, if I do get in, you know, it's once in a lifetime sort of thing, I've got to go for it. And so that's when I on journey to that, I did my first ultra marathon. A very similar experience to the first half marathon. You just don't think you can do it until you're in it. And then you realise, maybe I could.
I'm getting the sense you're quite impulsive.
Yes, I mean, I don't really look at the details. And to be honest with you, it hasn't always worked out brilliantly. I've been in some situations where I've been like, oh, you know, why am I doing this again? And then, you know, you get to the finish and then you realise why you're doing it. But yeah, you know, it's just running, isn't it? It's just running. I mean, the very notion of running is very similar. One foot in front of the other and see where it takes you. And, you know, now, all these years later, I'm a firm believer of if you want something and you have a tiny little spark of self-belief, you can, you know, you can do it. And, you know, I don't worry too much about what other people are doing and other speeds they're running at. It's more about the experience.
But that's what's so cool, because when you were describing how you got into it, you said you were a very different person and you had no self-belief. And so that just goes to show. And that's what I love about you on social media, when you're just constantly letting people know that, and you're so honest with it. You know, you're so, like you just were then, oh, you know, I'm impulsive, I didn't really read the details. But that's what's great, because then people can realize that they can do it too.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not just saying this. If I can do these things, and genuinely, I believe that anybody can. Anybody can. And actually, when you go to something like the Marathon Des Sables and you stand at the start line and you look around you, it's the thing about running is there's no one type of person. There's a real broad demographic, and they have, you know, the hikers are there. You've got the elite runners there, and the ability is so broad. And the one thing they all have in common is that they want to finish. And that is all you need to get there. And ultra running in particular is very much about your mindset. And, you know, the fitness plays a part, but if you can be super fit and if your head's not in the game, you know, you might not make it, but you can be the most unfit person in the field. And if you really want it, you know, you can finish. So it's one of the things I find really interesting about running is it's really is more than just, you know, getting down track and pounding out minute miles.
Yeah, I really think so. And you know, you were talking about the Marathon Des Sables. You went on to do it. You've done it 4 times. I know a 5th time you were part of the media team, weren't you? But still there. So obviously, as grueling as it is, something that was still pulling you back.
I love that race. That's part of me, that race. The first time I did it, you know, it was a real I kept saying, I thought this will be it, I'll do this and I'll go back to the half marathons, because it's that first one, I trained so hard for it and it just took out so much of my life, it just took over. I was sort of running half marathons after work, and it was hard, it was really hard. And then I came away, and then as you do, when you do these big events, you come away and then 2 weeks later you're like, I wonder if I could have done better. I could have done that bit better. And then I went back and I actually raced it competitively with a very, very light pack, and just rinsed myself. I did quite well. And then the third time I went back with my husband. Each one had its own story, which was very different to the previous one. And it's reflected in my results. They're very wide ranging. I've been trudging at the back, I've been racing at the front, and I've had my own reasons each time. And that's one of the beauty about those sorts of races. You learn something new about yourself every time.
Yeah, and do you have a favourite in terms of where you are on the field? At the front or at the back, or is it they all bring something different?
I was very proud of my result. There's no denying it. I really was, but it's a very different experience. You get more time resting, which is great. But the races which stick with me, and this is not just that race, just all races, the memories I have where I was like, oh, that was great. It was when I was with my friends and having, soaking things up, and having memories of finish lines hand in hand, or those are the ones I did. The last one I did was with my husband and my best friends, and I just come out. I was 4 months away from having cancer treatment, and it was just like a real moment, and I was mid-packing or whatever, and it was just one of those. It's just one of those, those things. I never remember like the 10K where I was just absolutely in bits, just trying to hold myself together, or that marathon PB. I don't really remember much about that race. I wasn't in having huge fun towards the end, but so it's more about the experiences of the ones you remember. They're the favourite ones.
Yeah, it's type 2 fun, isn't it?
Yes,
it's type 2 fun, really, isn't it? Because
at
the end you sort of, that really hurt, but I'm so glad I did it.
Oh yeah, most of my most of my races are like that, and my husband, who crews me a lot for these things, he always laughs because like 2 days later I'll be like, oh, that was brilliant, wasn't it? And he was like, I was with you and I saw you and you were not having fun in the moment, but then very much type 2 fun. And your brain does that thing, it just remembers the highlights and not necessarily the lowlights. I've forgotten hours of my life that I've been trudging somewhere.
That's why you go back, because if you remembered it that clearly, you wouldn't.
I would never go back. And actually, interestingly, about the MDS last year, I went back as media, and it's a very different experience. You get fed, you have to carry your food, you get like a mattress rather than sleeping on rocks. And you get beer and all sorts. And actually looking at the race, I could run a couple of stages, but looking at the race as an observer, it looks terrifying. It looks so tough. And I think if I'd seen it the other way around, I would have never taken part. It is hard. It's a hard race.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Well, you certainly earned your stripes to get the luxuries of a bed. When it comes to the actual preparation for it, what would your top tips be? Because when you say you've got to carry everything, it's a lot, because you've got to feed yourself. You're burning thousands of calories a day, and in those heats you can't take that sort of thing lightly.
So for that race in particular, the food is crucial. Actually, the food is actually crucial to get right, and it took me 4 goes to get it right, because everything has to be incredibly high calorie and incredibly lightweight. So you find yourself, in the aisles and in the shops, just checking weight to calorie ratio. But it isn't necessarily the most intelligent choice, I've found out, because there'll be something very high calorie, and you just simply cannot eat it because it's 36 degrees, and you do not want to eat another macadamia nut. You'd rather starve. So I would make sure you have variety, because the same thing every day is just hell. It's actually the worst part of the race. So having a bit of variety in your food and having a treat. I'd bring lumps of Parmesan out with me, so vacuum packed. So there's a bit of treat. Just having a few little treats. It can be very small, but something each day to look forward to. So that's probably my top tip for that race, and it is easier to go really lightweight. It's not fun sleeping on rocks, and it's not. You don't really need to get changed, So those things, the lighter you can make it, the easier it will be from the start. It's only a week. Everybody stinks. Everybody's wearing the same clothes for an entire week, so don't worry too much about grooming.
And that's what probably makes the reward so much sweeter, because it was so hard on every aspect.
It is, and it really, the other side of it is you will have the best shower of your life when you get back, and the best meal, the best beer. It's all like the best for 48 hours when you come back. Everything is a massive luxury. Just having a chair is a luxury, because you don't sit down for a week on a chair, so cushions, it's like a bewildering 48 hours afterwards.
That's a brilliant way to bring everything back to perspective. You're like, a chair, this is fabulous.
You're sitting on a rock for 7 days. It's just so nice to sit down properly.
I love it. And you mentioned in there that you were doing one of your races, and it was 4 months after having thyroid cancer. So it was I know it would have been a huge shock to have that diagnosis, but would you argue that because you'd found running, that was a wonderful factor that almost helped you through, because you didn't really stop, did you?
No, I didn't, and I think that was a way of dealing with it. And on reflection, to be really honest with you, I probably should have slowed down a little bit, because I just everything's fine, I'm just going to keep running. And I think I overcompensated a little bit. I did a 100-miler 3 weeks after the MDS, and I did a 50-miler 3 weeks after my first operation, just before the MDS. I just went mad for it, and it was good because I had something to focus on. So that was the upside. I probably should have slowed down a little bit, because I sort of came at the other side of all these races, and I was just like, I think I need to look after myself a little bit. And so I toned it down. It was a way of it was a coping mechanism, to be really honest with you, and it was running that actually made me go to the doctor. I was the story was I was doing Chicago Marathon with my good friends and my husband, and I had this terrible cough which I'd had off and on. And I'm not one to go to the doctor. I'm just sort of like, oh, it'll be fine. And this cough was incredibly debilitating, and I had to finish Chicago Marathon because it was my 6-star finish. So all world marathon majors, so London, Berlin, I can't remember, Chicago, all of them. If you get all six of these biggest marathons in the world, you get us into the Hall of Fame. And not many women had done this. And my friend Sophie and I were like, we're going to do it. And I had to finish it. I mean, I was at the start, I had to finish. And so I finished the race, and they were waiting with a special medal and film crew. And I just collapsed. And I run lots of different races and lots of different environments. And everybody was like, there's something not right here. So that's what made me go to the doctor.
God, what a frightening experience.
Yeah, I just knew something wasn't right. But yeah, I think if it wasn't for that race, I probably would have just weathered the storm but it was quite, and people were like, I think something's up. And so it was it was quite a crucial moment. So thanks to Chicago Marathon, I went to the doctor.
God, it really does take a lot to get you to the doctor, doesn't it? You're saying that not long afterwards you did 100 miles. I mean, 100 miles is a long drive for someone that's recovering from treatment. That's something else. How did your body do it?
I don't know. Again, I don't think I hadn't thought it through. It was already in the diary. All of these things were already booked in, and so I cancelled one ultra marathon. I thought, I'm not cancelling anymore. Yeah, I don't know. 100 miles is a really interesting race. It's your mindset is actually the most crucial thing in that race. And I took it really easy, as you can possibly in running 100 miles. And I was with my husband, who was looking after me as well. And we just did the whole thing together, and just took it as easy as it possibly is to do, running 100 miles. That one was in Miami, and it was basically a straight road I didn't have to think for just a day.
Oh, well, I suppose if that's you know, as you said, it was part of the diary and you wanted to get back to normal and keep as normal as possible, but hats off to you. That's something else. And we were touching on when you're an endurance runner, it's physical endurance is obviously a huge part of it, but mental endurance is possibly even bigger, because you've got to be able to keep going. And it sort of, there might be something resonating with this crazy lockdown experience that we're in. You know, we don't know what's to come. We don't know the end in sight. So, you know, any thoughts on how your mental thoughts can get you through hard things?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's positivity is crucial. Actually, I think it's really been hard. I don't think anybody has. I think everybody has suffered to some degree during lockdown. You know, I mean, we all have. It's just like week 2, week 3. It was just like, oh god, yeah. There's no goals. There's nothing to particularly with running, nothing to train for. And I think human beings don't deal with uncertainty very well. I think if you were told, you know, this is going to happen by then, you can sort of make a plan. But just saying, looking for the positives, really, it has been hard, but yeah, positivity is a great thing. There's various coping mechanisms. I mean, I have good friends around me, good people around me, positive people who can enable. And I think just having that sort of environment around you really helps. And you know, there's no point in dwelling on things you can't control. So just focusing, what you can do, what is possible.
Yeah, what you can do. And one thing I was thinking about when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk to you about, because there's so many things I want to talk to you about, but whenever I think about if I was in your shoes and I was going to start one of these ultra marathons, I mean, it's so far from where I am anyway. It's a big thought process. The biggest thing that comes to my mind is fear. I mean, where does fear sit with you? Because you know it's going to hurt, and it's not like you're sort of like, oh, this will be over in an hour, I'm going to be fine. It's like this will be over in 6 days. So how do you cope with emotions like that when really it's with running, it's up to you to get you to that finish line?
Well, actually, those are actually the tactics I use positively. I will say for a 100-mile, I'll be like, it's one day in my life. I cannot think about it in distance. Looking, my first time I ever did 100 miles, I point blank refused to look at it on a map because it's just terrifying. It was just such a long way. And so I'll break it down into, as I was running along, well, this time tomorrow I'll be doing this, and this time tomorrow. So I was just not there, present in the actual moment. So I use exactly those things, and you know, this time next week I'll do this in a positive way. So it is quite hard. I'm not going to pretend it's all been absolutely fantastic, but it is quite hard to stay focused on the positives. But you know, ultimately, I've chosen to be there. I've chosen to do that, and running is very much in my comfort zone.
You're going to get attacked.
No, it's fine. The car's driven past. So yeah, I have dogs. Sorry. But having said that, you know, I do. There's things which I am absolutely terrible at, really terrible at, and those heights mainly. They involve heights. And so I don't really do anything which mountain races, those sorts of races, they're not something I draw comfort from. So you know, I know what I'm capable of, I know what I'm good at, I know what I'm absolutely terrible at, and you know, I'll push myself out of my comfort zone in certain situations, but there are some things which I know I just simply cannot do just for fear, and so I don't do them.
It's all about knowing yourself. And where do you sit with? I know you go running every day, and it's long distances. Where does like injury sit with you? Because I'm sure your body's very used to what you do, and you can't just go from nothing to you know, in such a short space of time. Well, I suppose you did, not very long. But how do you deal with that? Because like repetitive injuries, or I know when I saw you in Guildford, I said, oh, I can't run. I've got dodgy ankles. You like tell me about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's this. Yeah, when I think I went on quite a typical runner's journey of being, you know, running was fantastic, it was new, and I loved it, and everything was PBs. I was just getting better and better, and then you plateau, and then the injuries and things started to come in, and you know, back then I would probably, I can run through this knee pain, you know, and it's just a terrible idea. What I do now is if I get any issues, I just ease up, or I see a physio, or I now know. There's similar issues which I'll have, and I now know that, you know, I need to do a bit of rehab, mobility, get the foam roller out, see a physio, and just do the right things and nip everything in the bud. I've had one serious injury, which lasted a long time in my running, and that was quite tough. Injured my foot quite badly after a race, but it wasn't, fortunately for me, wasn't bad enough to stop me running. I just had to really, really cut down. So I'll be doing 9 miles a week. You know, I'll be doing 2 miles, 3 miles, just 3 times a week, and that would be it. I had to keep it mobile without putting too much stress on it. But yeah, it's really hard, but 4 weeks off running is much better than months off. And I learned the hard way, you know, right back at the beginning. I did something with my knee and I was out for like, I don't know, 2 months or something, because I just thought it would be fine. But it's really about keeping on top of it, and, you know, all those things that you're supposed to do, which I'm not great at doing all the time, all the cross training, the strength training. And, you know, it's fine to miss a run. If something hurts, just miss a run. There's other things that you can do to sort of keep your well-being in the right spot.
Yeah, you just got to listen in. And do you sort of look at your life in 2 halves now? Because you lived a very different life before, and, you know, now you're a massive fitness brand ambassador. I wonder whether they all saw the picture of you doing your first run in some Converse shoes and thought, we just got to help her.
Yeah, look at her running around in gym shoes and an underwire bra. She needs help. Yeah, honestly, I'm a completely different person. It's been so odd. Nothing, you know, I've just been doing, I don't know how this has happened. I'm being really honest. There's not been strategic. It's just been how the cards have fallen for me, and I've been really very, very lucky. But yeah, my life completely changed. It's what I do. I had a 20-year career, and I don't do that now. I do this, and it's just, I can't believe, I genuinely, it's just, I don't know how it's happened. But, you know, I do try and be real and honest, and running it's a choice, you know, it's a choice you do. And, you know, I don't, it's never felt like a burden. Occasionally when it's raining outside, it's felt like a chore. But I always come in from those runs, and I'm always glad I've done them, you know, and I've gone on a journey. You know, there's been times where I've been really focused on pace and been disappointed with myself and why I didn't hit that 10k time. And then, you know, I've learned that actually, you know, nobody cares what my 10k time is. I mean, I'm not smashing any records, and actually I run for different reasons, to be social, to meet people, to see places, you know, and for my own wellness. And actually my minute mile is quite low in my list of priorities. Don't get me wrong, I like to run fast now and again, but it's been a real journey. And I've really, even as a runner, the runner I am now is different to the one I was 4 years ago.
Wow, I think it's brilliant. And the main thing is you've embraced it. You know, you sort of, as you said, it wasn't planned, it just happened. You were like, I'm gonna go with this.
Yeah, it just happened. And I just sort of I just kept having a go at and doing things and doing what I loved. And I think I hit the timing. I just started documenting it all, you know, what I was doing, and it just hit the timing right. And I can remember being at work and somebody had come in and they had done London Marathon at the weekend. And I was fascinated, and it was like, how do you run 26 miles? And I couldn't stop asking them questions, because, you know, watching it on TV, it's a long way. It's a massive challenge, and just being fascinated. And if you told me that I'd go on to run 100 miles, I would have genuinely put my house on the fact that you were lying.
God, it's just amazing. I think it's awesome. And I say, you're so inspirational. I think one of my biggest questions as well is, you always look incredible. Like your makeup looks.
I can't see the back of my head, by the way. It's just matted. It's horrible.
No, not at all. It's like, normally, you know, I'm red and I'm sweaty, and it doesn't matter, I've done it. But your makeup's always so on point.
It's all about the angles. I mean, this is one of the reasons I wear a hat, because the reality is it's not good. No, it's just
you look fabulous. And what about, you got picked up by Strava, and, as I said, all these big brands. It all happened really quickly. Did you go looking for that, or did they come to you?
It just happened. I haven't actively gone out to seek you know, sponsorship. That it just things came to me, and it just got to a point in my life where the sort of work running balance wasn't working. I was having to travel more for different races, and I was trying to document it, and I was trying to do a sort of a 9-to-5 full-time job. And the ideal would have been to go part-time, but I've got a very supportive family, and they were like, I'm no spring chicken, and they were like, just go for it, just do it now, give it a go, and I did. Unfortunately, things have worked out well.
They really have. And do you have any really funny moments that have happened to you during races that just, just like little stories that just couldn't happen unless you were out in the jungle doing a race? Or...
Oh yeah, I've had all sorts. I mean, when I haven't fueled correctly, you can start to hallucinate. So I've seen some weird things when I've been out running, and you know it's not real, but it's real. So that's unusual. I was running actually that 100-miler with my husband. We were, I don't know how far, we were like 70 miles in or something, and it was night time, and I started seeing lots of wine glasses on picnic tables, just red wine everywhere, and I was like, oh, I'm seeing wine glasses on picnic tables. And he said, oh yeah, the trees have got faces now too, and there were no trees. So we were both like, I think we need to eat something. Yeah, I mean, all sorts. I mean, running is a leveler. It doesn't matter what your background, who you are, what your earnings are. You can be in a race with somebody you've never met before, and you've all got the same sort of level. I mean, something like the MDS, I mean, there are no lose, so everybody's all in the same bag. If you know what I mean. You're just all the same. You're just all runners. Yeah, so many stories. I mean, I've seen all sorts of animals and creatures in my travels running. The nicer end, toucans, which have been lovely. The less nice end, I tripped over I think it was an alligator in a race. I was very tired. It was just sitting in the road, having a little snooze, and I was so tired, I didn't see it until I tripped over it. That wasn't much fun. I ran quite fast away from that situation. Yeah.
My goodness, that must have been, oh wow, you can trip over rocks and logs, but a real live alligator, that must have been eye-opening. Well, I mean, thank you so much. I could talk to you all day. So you're just a ball of energy. It's brilliant. And I know a lot of people think of you like that, and that's why you're so successful and you're so relatable. So thank you, and thank you for giving me the time to have this chat.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me and asking me questions. It's always really flattering to be asked to do these things.
Oh, thank you. And we didn't get attacked by the dogs, which we were worried about.
No, they've all gone back to sleep.
How's your youngest one doing? The youngest.
He's very well. Look at him. He's having a nap in a sunbeam right now. He's lovely. He's a rescue. I've got 2 rescue dogs and another dog. He's absolutely lovely, and he's a runner, which we're very pleased about. Coming out on very short runs. We're just building him up.
They must be like, when you get new dogs, the other ones must be like, you're not going to believe this, mate. Your owner.
Yeah.
Insurance runner. You got to start working hard.
The other 2 have no clue what I do. They just think I go out in the morning and come back smelly.
Oh, well, thank you. So nice to talk to you, and good luck with everything. And whatever your next challenge is, I look forward to following you on it.
Thank you so much, Helen. Thank you.
Thank you to Susie for such a lovely and honest conversation, and thank you to you for watching. If you did enjoy the interview, please do hit the like button, and please do consider subscribing to the channel for more inspirational stories like Susie's. Next week, entrepreneur and adventurer Neil Lawton is joining me, and he is such an incredible man. He achieved the Explorer's Grand Slam of reaching the North Pole and the South Pole and all of the 7 summits. He served in the Special Forces and has been entered into the Guinness World of Records on numerous occasions. And so much more. It's actually really hard to get across quite how much just one person has achieved. I'll see you next week.